What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here of the Sports Outlet Show. My name is Joseph Wagner, and as always, I'm alongside with three of my co-hosts here, Brent Allegra, Braden Wilkins, and Mr. Christian Naylor. Guys, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday?
Pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic.
Good, good.
I'm doing really, really good tonight. Doing good.
Yeah, Braden, how we doing?
Not bad at all.
Not bad. Well, I'm grateful to have you guys on, and I have a couple of announcements after we get going here. But we have a really special episode here for you tonight. As you guys can see in the top corner, we have our Pray for Damar instead of our usual Sports Outlet Show logo, and we have dedicated this podcast and episode to Damar. Now, for those of you that haven't been watching the news lately, on Monday Night Football, we had a star-studded matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and Buffalo Bills. Two-star quarterbacks going at it. And on the Bengals' second drive of the night, after making a tackle, Damar Hamlin stood up and 5 seconds later actually collapsed on the field. He was given CPR immediately by medical personnel and even given an AED on the field. About after 16 minutes on the ground, from local reports, he was actually moved from the field and taken to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, where he is now. The game has been suspended until an unknown date, and Damar is currently in critical condition, although reports this morning are showing that he is making positive progress. He has been flipped on his stomach. He has been moved from 100% breathing oxygen to just 50% to try and wean him off that. And guys, it's just been a scary story and a tragedy in football.
Yeah, absolutely. Me being a football fan for this long, I've never even seen anything like it. Nothing this serious where you think that a person's life might be at stake. So it was a very serious thing to watch, and you could tell just based on the sidelines alone, like the players, the fans, it was just silent in the stadium. So very somber moment for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely something where we saw how large the NFL community is. And to speak onto that, if you guys didn't know a lot about Damar Hamlin, first of all, he graduated from the University of Pittsburgh, is currently playing for the Buffalo Bills, still wearing the same number 3. Damar actually had a GoFundMe for the Chasing M's Foundation Community Toy Drive. A little bit about this is he created this to use as a vehicle to bring lasting impact to his community. The foundation supports drives, back to school drives, kid camps, and so much more that Damar Hamlin and his family are doing. And guys, this had an original goal of $2,500. This GoFundMe as of today has reached over $6.5 million. That is just incredible. From star-studded names from Tom Brady to complete organizations like the Commanders and Indianapolis Colts to Russell Wilson. The community, the prayers, the money, it's been an incredible sight to see from the community of such a tragic event, including all 32 teams on Twitter changing their logos to what you see in the top right corner of Pray for Damar. I'm speechless of the work that God is doing in our community.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not many positives with this situation, but one of them is that it's bringing everybody together. It's just something to see for sure, and I'm glad everybody's coming together for Damar Hamlin. It's awesome.
And as you can see on the very bottom, that's the Chasing M's Foundation Community Toy Drive. That's where you can donate to that GoFundMe, or you can go to GoFundMe.com and search Damar Hamlin's name, and it should be the first or second one that pops up. But the Sports Outlet Show, we've been trying to pray, do what we can. Our hopes, thoughts, prayers are with Damar, his family, his friends, NFL community, and the entire Buffalo Bills organization and Bills Mafia. So, guys, I want to take about a minute here to bring in a brother, a personal friend, to actually do a prayer for Damar Hamlin before we start into our segment here for the Sports Outlet Show. Guys, this is Nathan Wagner, my brother, making his appearance.
Yeah, it really is a tragedy what's happening to Damar and his loved ones. So, yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to spend some time actually in prayer. So let's go ahead and bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for Damar. We thank you for his life. And we thank you for all that you're doing in our lives. I just pray for Damar. I pray for his health, Lord, that you are the creator of life, God, and you can sustain him and bring him back to his friends and family, Lord. And I just pray that your supernatural peace would fall on the community, his friends, his family, his teammates, God, and just be there to comfort them. I pray again for Damar, his recovery. Like, this is a human life, Lord, and you love him more than this community can even fathom. I pray all this in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you, Nathan, for that. And without people like Damar putting their life on the line every day when they play NFL football, there would be no podcast like this if we could not talk about the great world of sports. And just forever grateful and wishing a fast and speedy recovery, like the rest of the Buffalo Bills and every other organization out there. So I thank you for that. We actually also brought Nathan on because he is a Steelers fan, and we do have to talk about a lot of playoff implications that are coming and a lot of question marks that are coming up here in the AFC and NFC currently. So we're going to quickly transition to AFC North because Nathan's got to get up early and go to work. So guest star Nathan Wagner, everybody. Pittsburgh hopeful is what we're calling him today, as the Pittsburgh Steelers need some help to get into the playoffs. Nathan, you want to go ahead and talk to me about the Pittsburgh Steelers and what's going on with them?
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'm a longtime Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Inherited that from my parents. Don't know how Joe didn't, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, we're sitting at 8-8. Mike Tomlin has never had a season that was under 500. Now that a 17th game has been added to the NFL in recent years, it's looking like maybe we'll be over 500. Maybe we won't be. This final game will determine that fate. And so the Week 18 opponent for the Steelers is the Browns. They're 7-9, so they're not fighting for 500. What do they need it for? The Steelers fans, they want it. They want it bad, and hopefully the players want it bad too. We really turned the season around here. We had a stretch of losing games early on and have finally come back to 500 and hoping to finish the season strong. Playoff possibilities. Again, with the whole Cincinnati Buffalo issue, assuming the game is canceled and not played or postponed later, the Steelers could clinch a 7 seed with a win versus the Browns and a Patriots loss versus the Bills and a Dolphins loss versus the Jets. So a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in there. But if the Cincinnati Buffalo game is rescheduled and played, the Steelers would clinch a number 7 seed with a win versus the Browns, Patriots loss versus the Bills, and Dolphins loss versus the Jets.
Yeah, that's a lot of help for the Steelers, but I mean, beating the Cleveland Browns is an entity of its own. Especially, they're probably going to come out firing on all cylinders still. Obviously, Deshaun Watson hasn't played a lot, and Myles Garrett continues to want to beat up the sack record. Real quick, Nathan, before we move on, for the Steelers, your team MVP, is it Kenny Pickett or is it somebody else?
It's somebody else, I gotta say.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the person who is compared to Odell Beckham, who sits behind Brent Allegra right now. That would be George Pickens. George Pickens had one heck of a grab early on in the season, really, having a star-studded appearance this first year. And honestly, he's turned on the offense for the Steelers. Obviously, Deontay Johnson continues to pull his weight. And Kenny Pickett being integrated into the offense and all that he's doing is really good. But I really think George Pickens has been a playmaker throughout this season, and hopefully will continue in this final regular season game. So George Pickens MVP.
Very nice. Pittsburgh Steelers hopeful, trying to get a lot done. Nathan, we're going to continue with the AFC North. Feel free to stick around and jump in whenever, because as a Steelers fan, you might know a little more than we do. So we have the Baltimore Ravens, who actually have clinched the playoff berth. They did lose to the Steelers last week. They're 10-6. Their Week 18 opponent is going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 11-4. So there's a lot that's going on here with the Baltimore Ravens and their playoff possibilities, especially with the possibility of a Week 19 game coming up between the Bills and the Bengals, because the Baltimore Ravens, if this game is not rescheduled, does not have an opportunity to win the AFC North. If this game's not rescheduled, the Cincinnati Bengals will be the AFC North champions. They can clinch the number 5 seed with a win over the Bengals with a Chargers loss at the Broncos, or they will get the number 6 seed if they lose versus the Bengals or the Chargers win at the Broncos. So that's assuming there's no rescheduling. It's basically a whole lot of a spiel for them winning the division if it is. A lot to look out for there. But I just want to point out, over their last 6 games, the Baltimore Ravens are 3-3, and I know they haven't had Lamar Jackson, but those opponents, they're 500 against these opponents. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the Denver Broncos, the Pittsburgh Steelers twice, the Cleveland Browns, and the Atlanta Falcons. That is terrible. That is a horrible 6 set of lineups when you're coming. The Jaguars are the only team that prospectively should have 100% possibly lost to without their star quarterback. They did. They also lost to Cleveland and they lost to Pittsburgh. My team MVP for this team is absolutely nobody on this roster, because nobody has stepped up, in my opinion. Nobody for the Baltimore Ravens has come out as a star-studded player. Lamar was supposed to come back Christmas Eve, did not, has been out 2 weeks. Not sure if he's playing this week or not. He is yet to practice, I believe. So that's my spiel on the Baltimore Ravens. There's a lot to see. Chris, I'm going to kick it over to you with the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, the Cleveland Browns. I mean, we've seen how their seasons went. I mean, I don't think there's really much to say about it. I mean, they're 7-9.
They beat the Commanders.
Oh, no.
They're 7-9. They play the Steelers, which is going to be a very interesting game. And I think that the Steelers are going to end up losing to the Browns, as much as I hate to say it. I think he's going to have his first, losing season. And they're eliminated from the playoffs. They're playing for nothing, but when they still have a sex offender behind a quarterback, they're not going to get very far. And which is why my team MVP is going to be Jacoby Brissett. Stepping up, playing the first few weeks of the season, commanding that team and putting that team in somewhat of relevance before they decided to make the unjustly move and bring the other guy in at quarterback again. But I'm interested to see what this team is good. But again, I think they need a better quarterback, one that does not have a lot of weight on his back with everything. And they can be a great team. After they lost Baker, I've absolutely been upset and hated them. But I mean, they have the right pieces to do what they need to do. It's almost like a Washington circumstance where they need that quarterback as well. So expect a lot from them this offseason, but maybe next year for them.
All right. I really like the Jacoby Brissett team MVP. I agree with that.
Hey,
I'm going to kick it out. What's up?
He stepped up. That's all I got to say. He stepped up
did.
and played
He
his
played
role
well
in one game.
I was talking to Braden in Blacksburg before the season started, and I said that Jacoby Brissett had to get the Cleveland Browns in a position where Deshaun Watson could take over and take them to the playoffs. Braden, you remember?
Yep, and that's exactly what he did. He was winning games. He wasn't winning every game, obviously. I think Jacoby Brissett's one of the highest tier backup quarterbacks in the league you can have, and I think he proved that this season. He played pretty well.
No, I would agree, but Deshaun Watson couldn't get it done. He has not played well, so Chris, good take there. And Brent, kick us off and end us off here with the AFC North with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals, this team is very, very hot right now. And honestly, I don't know if anyone can beat them. They're really, really hot. They're currently on a 7-game winning streak, and both the offense and defense are playing extremely well. Their record is 11-4. Their Week 18 opponent this upcoming week is at home versus the Ravens. And some playoff possibilities here. There's a lot of them. But assuming Cincinnati and Buffalo is canceled, that they don't play that game, they have clinched the AFC North. They would clinch the 2 seed with a win versus the Ravens and a Bills loss. And they would clinch the 3 seed with a win or loss versus the Ravens and a Bills win versus the Patriots. Assuming that game is rescheduled, the Cincinnati Buffalo game, wins and losses are very critical. Bengals could be as high as the 1 seed in the AFC or as low as the 6 seed. So that game was pretty crucial to Cincinnati's standings, but obviously the Damar Hamlin situation is a lot more important right now. So it's a mystery as to if that game's going to get rescheduled or not. But like I said, this team is good. I think they could win the Super Bowl. It's a very big possibility with how good they're playing right now. And the MVP on the team has to be Joe Burrow. It's not even close. There's obviously some good players on this roster, but no one even compares to Burrow. He is one of the premier passers in the league and has firmly established himself as the Joe Shiesty. He has a 69% completion percentage, 4,260 yards, and 34 touchdowns on the season. So obviously very, very good.
Awesome. Thanks for wrapping us up there, Brent, with AFC North. Before we bid adieu to my older brother, Nathan, I do want to give a big shout out because Nathan has been in our fantasy football league and led his own fantasy football league for the past 5, 6 some years. Nathan is retiring from fantasy football. Let's give him a round of applause. You know, he's done great. He's won a few ships. He beat me in one of them. He won my league the first year he came in, showed us young guns who was boss. But great competitor, and hey, 5 years we'll be talking about you in the Hall of Fame.
It was a good run. Make sure you retire my number too.
Okay, I'll make sure we do that. Thanks for hopping on, Nathan.
All right.
Peace. Anyways, the surprise I had for you guys that we're going to talk about now is that we, in the first time at the Sports Outlet Show, have guest stars coming on the show since we joined YouTube. So when we were on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on StreamYard, we actually did have one guest star, Jimmy, who actually joined us for a podcast in person. But we have not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but we have 5 people coming on here tonight. And I am very excited for each and every one of them. Nathan Wagner being number 1 really fast. So this is just the 4 of us real quick. We're going to talk about the college football playoffs. Braden, would you mind talking to me about the Horned Frogs continuing to shock America?
Oh yeah, it's been a storybook season for TCU thus far. I don't think anyone coming into the season thought they would be here playing in the college football finals. But it was a crazy game between TCU and Michigan, almost 100 combined points, 44 combined points in the third quarter alone. Michigan was looking like dead in the water for a little bit, and then they were coming back. They put up 24 in that third quarter. Max Duggan and J.J. McCarthy both played very well. They had 2 touchdowns and 2 picks each with 1 rushing touchdown as well. And then on that last drive, Michigan had a chance to take the lead with a touchdown, but there was that botched snap, that mishandled snap, and that threw Michigan's dreams away. And TCU, the Horned Frogs, move on.
Yeah, Chris, I kind of want your opinion on this. I don't know if you've seen it around Twitter or not. What do you think about J.J. McCarthy's Stephon Diggs moment?
I mean, yeah, there's not much to say on it. I think that at the time of the situation, he wanted to play it again and think he would look cool doing it. But he kind of looked like a complete fool out there. Like, what did you do for Michigan this year, honestly?
You forget they didn't have star running back Blake Corum.
Yeah, like you're the running back's the star of your team. You are not the star of your team, unlike what Stephon Diggs was. Stephon Diggs was the star of that team. You are not the star of the team. You are an average quarterback, and you're not a dark menace to society, and that you're not going to come on next year and blow college football out of the water. Like, you're not going to do that. Don't be silly. Don't be childish. Go in the locker room and just don't create that unneeded media attention that you're just going to create even more by standing out there. You lost. Go in the locker room, have your post game, and go home.
I'm sure you also saw, Chris, then, since you talked about the post game, that he answered one press conference question saying, "Don't worry, we'll be back," and then got up and walked away without answering any others.
My thing is, you're not that guy. You are not that guy to be able to walk in that.
You're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy. You are not that guy.
I was really intrigued to see yours from a college football perspective. So,
like, I mean, and it's that stuff like that I've seen. It's like, just go. Like, there's no point in any post-curricular, post-game, whatnot. Just leave. Like, it's over. The game's over. You lost. Take your loss. Go back to Michigan and worry about developing, not worrying about becoming that dark menace next year. Because you're not. At the end of the day, you're not going to be that. Your coach is going to the NFL. Your team's going to suck next year. Come on.
it's okay. There's a third place game, right?
Not in this college football playoff. Not the one that I won. Thanks, Braden.
Oh, got him. Got him. Brent, you mind taking over the absolute star-studded matchup that literally and caused drama in your household at New Year's Eve up to the second?
Yeah, so this was a phenomenal game. Number 1 Georgia versus number 4 Ohio State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. This game was incredible. Noah Ruggles missed a 50-yard game-winning field goal wide left. It actually hit the ground into the start of the new year, 2023. It was absolutely wild. So Joe mentioned it. My family wanted to watch the ball drop, and obviously my eyes were glued on this game because it wasn't over at all. It was still very close. Ohio State had a chance to win it, and my mom was getting pissed at me because I kept watching my phone, and Maddie was there with me. She wanted her New Year's kiss. I was glued to the TV. I'm sorry. There's next year for that. But anyway, Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett. Say what you want about the guy. He's a winner. He's a winner. He's got a good team. I will say that. He's got a really good team. But he had 398 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game with a rushing touchdown as well. A very, very good performance. And C.J. Stroud, possibly, maybe the number 1 overall pick this upcoming year. 23 for 34, 348 yards, and 4 touchdowns of his own. So great quarterback performances on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you're incorrect about CJ Stroud. I hope he drops number 7, 8, or 9 wherever the Panthers end up.
It's possible. It's up in the air.
Would be nice. Definitely not going to happen. So obviously that takes us to the national championship game, guys. But before we say anything, do I have a treat for you guys? We're adding in guest number 2 all the way. He's not there right now, from Penn State. I got guest star David Berry from the Penn State Nittany Lions. He doesn't play football there, but he should. He's the best player on the team. What's up, David?
Thank you, Joe.
How about that Rose Bowl?
Which one was the Rose Bowl?
That was Penn State versus Utah, and y'all beat them.
There was no question about it. I mean, number 10, our freshman dude. Our 2 running backs have carried us the entire season. There was no question about it.
David, the real question is, how many games have you attended in your college career?
In my college career, I think I attended 2.
Oh. I'm liking the numbers.
It's okay. Hey, Chris, how many games in your college career have you attended that you've not worked?
2.
There we go. We're even. So David's going to try and take the co-host platform from you now.
Oh, my 2 bye weeks. Sorry, my bad.
Anyways, we got the Georgia Bulldogs. We got the TCU Horned Frogs. Did any of you see in the script what I said about who is the quarterback for Alabama?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chris, did you see it?
I'm looking at it right now.
No, don't look at it if you have.
No, I'm looking at it right now actively.
Oh, okay, never mind. Well, I literally put this in the thing and forgot to take it out before I sent it to y'all because I was wondering if y'all would guess it. But Georgia's looking to go back-to-back for the first time since the 2011-2012 Alabama Crimson Tide, led by A.J. McCarron. Both years he won them. Who would have
He's
thought?
a legend.
Who would have thought? What
A.J.
team is
McCarron.
he on right now, Chris?
He is.
He's on a team. He's definitely on a team. He's a good backup.
He was
I know
on
he
the
was on the Raiders
Texans.
at one point.
He was on the Texans, the Raiders. He was on the Bengals at one
The
point.
Cardinals?
That's true. No, the Cardinals got Trace McSorley. Oh, well. Okay, that's irrelevant. Anyways, the money line's on there at 12.5. The over-under 62.5. Georgia's coming in at a minus 450 money line. TCU with a plus 350 money line. Mattress Mac has put his money on the Horned Frogs. He's put it all on them. David, who's winning the national championship this year?
I mean, as much as I love the underdog story of TCU, I mean, their magical year has to end eventually. I mean, when you have a 26-year-old QB and with his experience, he'll be able to lead his team to a victory.
He's so old.
Dude, he is so old.
I was just about to say that, Carson. I looked it up. A.J. McCarron, St. Louis Battlehawks, baby.
That's my
The
favorite
XFL.
NFL
Let's
team.
go.
We're winning a ship this year, baby. We're going all the way. All right. I'm going to unfortunately go with the Georgia Bulldogs, but I think TCU covers the spread. They're going to make it interesting for us.
Yeah, they're going to cover the spread. They're going to score like 20 points, and Georgia's going to score like 60. Yeah, the spread's going to be covered.
Wait a minute.
Wait, no.
I don't
They
think
would
that's how that
cover.
works.
It's definitely how it works. Now shut up.
Brayden.
I would love to see the Frogs win it. I would absolutely love it, but it's not going to happen. Stetson Bennett and A.J. McCarron are the same person, so history repeats itself.
Stetson Bennett needs to realize when to graduate college on time and when not to.
Brent, what you got?
Hey, listen, if it can at least be an interesting game up until halftime, I'll be happy. But Georgia's going to blow them out of the water.
Nobody wants to hammy the Froggies.
No.
It's okay. It's okay, guys. All right. With that being said, we'll head back into the NFL. We're actually going to jump around real quick. We're going to start. We always used to start with the AFC East, go through to the AFC West, then the NFC East to the NFC West. We're going to start with the NFC West today and go backwards. All right. That's what we're going to do today. We just had this special thing for the Steelers because of Nathan. But first, we're starting with the San Francisco 49ers, obviously clinching their division because the NFC West is buns this year. Division clinch. They're facing the Cardinals, who are 4-12. They are home this week. As you saw, J.J. Watt's retiring. That's going to be his final game. The playoff possibilities, the 49ers can clinch the number 1 seed with a win and an Eagles loss versus the Giants. Who would have thought that would have been possible a few weeks ago? They'll clinch the 2 seed just if they win and the Eagles win. And then they can fall all the way down to number 3 if they lose to the Cardinals and the Vikings win at the Bears. This team is not losing to the Cardinals. So they're at least going to be 1 or 2. It's all retrospective, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Giants, how full force Brian Daboll is bringing his team out against the Eagles, and is Jalen Hurts going to be playing. We'll get to that when we get to the NFC East. My team MVP, let's not overthink it, guys. It's not Brock Purdy. He has been very exceptional. He's played very well. The MVP is Christian McCaffrey. Come on. 9-1 since joining the team. The one game he lost, he played 28% of the snaps, and they played the Kansas City Chiefs in the Kansas City Chiefs Arrowhead Stadium. Stop overthinking it. This guy that is not a Pro Bowler for some reason, but will be an all-pro player at the end of the year, has 701 yards, 6 touchdowns on the ground, 49 catches, 433 yards, and 3 TDs after spending 5 weeks with Matt Rule. This guy is playing great. He's playing great football. He's finally had a full healthy season, and he has been the back to lean on. He won a lot of people fantasy championships last week with his effort. He has been the back to lean on with Elijah Mitchell going down, with Deebo Samuel going down, with Brandon Ayuk not being healthy, and with Brock frickin' Purdy at quarterback. Christian McCaffrey has been phenomenal. This team is going to make a Super Bowl run. Watch out.
I completely agree, Joe. The Niners are the scariest team in the NFC, and it's not even close. Like, it doesn't matter that they have Brock Purdy at quarterback. When you have weapons like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, it doesn't matter. Those players can make plays all over the field. It's just ridiculous. The Niners are so good.
Is Brock Purdy good? I don't know. I can't tell you. He's scored 2 touchdowns in every single game he's played. He's undefeated as a quarterback. I don't know what more to say. He's been serviceable. When you have Deebo Samuel running double sweep jets to Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey throwing touchdowns, Kyle Shanahan is in love with this offense, and how can you not be? So,
and we haven't even talked about the defense. It's the best defense in football.
Yeah, Nick Bosa is the possibly defensive player of the year. So
it's ridiculous. They probably have the best roster out of any team in the NFL.
They could use some help at kicker. Robbie Gould's not great.
He's so old. He's so old.
Okay, Mason Crosby's still kicking. Let's
Fair enough.
talk about being old.
Oh, Mason Crosby's the GOAT.
David, you get to talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Dude, what's going on?
I mean, who would have thought they would even have a chance to make the playoffs after trading away their star QB to the Broncos? What a great trade that was. I mean, couldn't have worked out.
Who won the trade, David, who won the trade and why?
I mean, the Seattle Seahawks weren't, because the MVP for me of Seattle has to be Geno Smith. He's commanded that team very well. And I mean, a guy who just now gets more touchdowns than toilets in his house, and it's week 17. I mean, that's pretty bad.
But
and you get first-round draft picks to rebuild your team again. I mean, couldn't ask for a better trade. I mean, started out great, and then he comes back and they beat the Broncos week 1. Couldn't have asked for a better start. But they found themselves in a precarious situation, betting on the Lions to beat the Packers, of course, to make the playoffs.
Which will happen.
Yes, because the Lions are looking great too. But they first have to beat the Rams, who, I mean, they are starting to find themselves after a horrible season as well. So that'll be a close game, even though the Rams have nothing to play for right now. I mean, they just for pride.
Well, they're pretty bad, so.
Well, yeah, Seahawks are hoping to keep their dreams alive.
Yeah, they really are. They really are, David. I loved everything you said about Russell Wilson in the bathrooms. That was really funny. Obviously, you mentioned clinching number 7 seed, but they do need help. Geno Smith is the MVP. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Really could not have.
They've come a long way.
They have. This is a team that was picked to finish dead last in the NFC West. Their over-under starting the season was 4.5 wins. So.
And hey, Geno Smith, they wrote me off, but I ain't right back.
Brent says this every shot.
It's the best one-liner ever.
We have to flip, though, because Braden gets to talk about the best team in football, the former Super Bowl champs, ready to make another. Oh. All right, sorry, Braden.
Yes, the Rams. Unlike the Seahawks, they got nothing to fight for. They've been eliminated. This has to be one of the heavier Super Bowl hangovers I've seen in a long time. They just have not been the same this year. They have been plagued with injuries. Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, all been hurt, and those were the stars of last year. But the past couple weeks, they've seen a couple bright spots. Baker's looked good in the Rams uniform. Cam Akers is back. He's feeling better. And Cam Akers is actually my team MVP. He started off pretty slow, still coming back from that injury. But these past couple weeks, he's been great, putting up over 100 yards a game. He's been really good these past couple weeks. They got nothing to fight for this week, but They can prove that maybe they have something in Baker, see what the rest of the team is about before going in the offseason.
See, now here's the thing, Braden. They do have something to fight for, because there's one guy in that locker room that's getting that team ramped up to get a W this week, because his former team needs some help from the LA Rams this week. That guy is Matthew Stafford. The Detroit Lions need the Rams to beat the Seahawks to have an opportunity when it comes Sunday Night Football. Who else but Matthew Stafford to get Baker Mayfield waking up and feeling dangerous?
I like it. I like it.
Braden, did I hear your MVP? Did you say one?
Cam Akers.
Okay. I was gonna throw Ben Skoranek out there.
Yeah, he's
Very
been
nice.
good. He's been good. He's been serviceable.
That can be said about a lot of players on the Rams. They can be serviceable.
Such a dumpster fire.
No, well, believe it or not, the LA Rams might not be the biggest dumpster fire in the NFC West. Brent, why don't you tell me about potentially the other one?
All right, gentlemen. Cardinals, 4-12 record. Their Week 18 opponent at the 49ers, who are 12-4. Obviously, they're eliminated from playoff contention. But when looking at the Cardinals, the future, it seems pretty bleak right now. It looks like Kingsbury and Keim are not the answer at head coach and GM. And with Kyler tearing his ACL in the last few weeks of the season, you have to wonder if he will even be able to start the year. My best guess right now is no. But when thinking of an MVP for this team, it kind of has to be Budda Baker, the only Pro Bowl selection for the Arizona Cardinals this year. He had 111 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble, and is one of the only proven commodities on the defense. Honorable mention, J.J. Watt. He's declaring his retirement after this last and final game, which sucks to see because he's been a mainstay in the NFL, and he's just a guy you look to when you think of the NFL, at least for me. So I'm gonna miss him, and I wish him the best of luck in retirement.
One of the literal most humble players in the NFL.
Absolutely.
So good.
I hope he comes out of retirement just to go play for the Steelers.
I could not imagine.
tough.
Could you imagine like a QB sneak, like to dive into the end zone, and it's Kenny Pickett with Derek Watt and TJ Watt here, and then JJ Watt all pushing? That would go
That'd be
for
awesome.
50 yards.
That'd be awesome.
That would go for 50 yards. It'd be ridiculous. We're going to transition to the NFC North. Chris, talk to me about Aaron Rodgers, who somehow puts this team on the map.
It's not somehow why he does it. I mean, when you're taking psychedelics, anything's possible. But I mean, the Green Bay Packers, it's sad to say, but they had an abysmal year at 8-8. Like, I mean, they started out really rough. We were really questioning what was going on down there. Somehow, some way, they turned it around to get themselves back in 8-8, back in the playoff contention. And they probably have the biggest game of their season versus the Lions, which me personally, I've always, once Dan Campbell took over the team, I believe in the Lions. I have the Lions winning this game. I have the Packers not making the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers going home, and Aaron Rodgers will retire after the season. But my team MVP is definitely Christian Watson. I mean, I don't think there's anyone on that team that can compare to the eliteness that he brings to the field every day. And especially coming out of an FCS school, no one really knew what to expect from him. But once he got onto the field, I mean, he just kind of tore up the competition, got really comfortable, and has just made catches that, are unheard of right now. And so definitely the bright spot of that team. But the scary thing is there's not many other bright spots on that team. And so I'm interested to see what they look like after this season and how bad they're going to have to rebuild.
Interesting. What do you think about Jordan Love in that rebuild?
I don't think Jordan Love's the answer.
Okay.
I think they're going to be searching for a veteran quarterback that may be free after the season, after leading a team to a few wins, after being dropped and traded. I think that he might come in with a goal set to win, and he might win.
All right. I like it.
because I still believe in him.
The counterpart of the argument here, Chris, is actually one of my teams, is the Detroit Lions coming in at 8-8 as well. This game got flexed to Sunday Night Football. Obviously, they're playing in Lambeau. They can clinch the number 7 seed if they win, but they need help again if the Seahawks lose to the Rams that we just previously talked about. For me personally, I have 2 team MVPs. One, it's obvious, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, first 100 reception season. He's been amazing for the Lions all year. He's been hurt a few weeks this year as well. Over 1,100 yards receiving, 6 touchdowns for him. But guys, my other MVP is the guy that has not played a single snap this year for the Detroit Lions. It's head coach Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, I would go to war for this man, behind him into the battlefield. Brian Daboll might be the only other one I would. Between those 2 bald-headed firecrackers, they're amazing.
Hey,
Just
I told you.
shooting off like fireworks.
I told you. Once he took over the offense, they started winning. He went out firing like this year. I believe in him. No one else did. I would like to say that. And now they're winning. So,
well, since he took over the offense, and I'm glad you said that, Chris, this team is 7-2 after a 1-6 start. Those 2 losses, the Buffalo Bills and the Sam Darnold-led Panthers, but still, that's not horrible. Everybody has an off week, but the Detroit Lions 8-8 have a chance to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, they need some help to continue their Cinderella story. But even if the Detroit Lions do not make the playoffs this season, that backfield has opened eyes to people between Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams, I think, is still currently leading running backs in rushing touchdowns. They are an elite 1-2 punch. They've been fantastic this year. Watch out for the Detroit Lions. And Dan Campbell, I need a reminder maybe if it's his contract year or not. He is not anywhere close to a hot seat, despite starting 1-6 when people were giving up on him.
Yeah, no matter what, you have to call it a successful season for the Lions, even if they don't make it to the playoffs. 8-8 is very good compared to what this team has seen in the past.
And we're talking about Aaron Rodgers' retirement tour, so we know what the NFL is scripting up.
Yeah.
It's just true. It's just true. Braden, you get to talk about the best team in the NFC North.
The Bears. They're obviously limited from playoff contention. They're 3-13, but you know why that's actually really impressive? It is really difficult to win 3 games when you're playing 1 versus 22 other players. The Bears have 1 player on the field. They got 1 man. It's their team MVP. It's Justin Fields. It has to be. Justin Fields has been the only bright spot of this team. He is this Bears team. He doesn't have help. He doesn't have an offensive line. His running backs are okay. DeMont and Khalil Herbert, they're pretty good. He doesn't have wide receivers. He doesn't have an O-line. He's still magically breaking off 60-yard runs every single week. He's breaking off a crazy run.
How do you know about that? How do you know it's every week?
Well, I get a weekly text from Joe because Justin Fields is on his fantasy team, and he just says, there it is, his weekly 60-yard rush every single week. But yeah, Justin Fields is looking very good. I hope the Bears can get him some help this offseason, get him an O-line, get him something, anything this offseason. I think the Bears will be a little bit better.
It's almost like they traded a 2nd-round pick for a receiver. I forget his name. Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
He kind of sucks, doesn't he?
He kind of sucks.
They also traded for N'Keal Harry at the beginning of the season. They got Byron Pringle.
That was such a bad trade.
Mm-hmm.
Such a bad trade.
They're going up against the 12-4 Lions or Vikings this week. Not good. Not good for the Bears.
Now, there is one positive, Braden. Who's starting at quarterback this week?
For the Vikings?
No, for the Bears.
Is it not Justin Fields?
It's not.
Oh,
It's
I missed
somebody
something.
that throws a lot of interceptions.
Oh, Nathan Peterman? Let's go.
Nathan Peterman trying
missed
to
that.
keep the Minnesota Vikings at a -point differential this season.
I love
We'll
it.
see.
They're gunning for that number 1 pick.
They really are. They really are. And speaking of the team, David gets the honor of talking about the NFC North champs, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, they had high expectations, and they went out and achieved it, but they've had a roller coaster of a year for sure. I mean, primetime Kirk Cousins needs some work. I mean, he's been blown out multiple times, but they did be able to come up with the greatest comeback in all of sports against the Colts, which was a good bright spot for them, but then they just get destroyed the next week. So, I mean, it's looking scary for them because, I mean, they haven't had a good game. And, it all rests on – because they got so much talent there with Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and they even traded for Hawkinson. But it all comes down to Kirk Cousins, if he can perform or not. So that's why he's my MVP, even though there's so much talent around him. When he sucks, they suck. So – they got to step up, and, I mean, they're fighting for the second seed right now against the 49ers. If they beat the Bears and 49ers somehow lose to the Cardinals, which is never going to happen, they will get the second seed, or else they just have the third place locked up.
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings at 12-4 have like a negative 20-point differential. I understand all the one-score games, but that's still so bad.
Every game they lost, they get completely blown out. They lost like by 30 points in all of their losses.
Dude, after the whole AJ Dillon touchdown with all of them like playing the orchestra and Aaron Rodgers just going, I was just like, yep, this team's done. You can't come back from that. And if they are
one of the biggest jokes in the NFL, one of the biggest frauds.
Yeah, if they are the 3 seed, they're gonna have that matchup with my man in the middle there, most likely. Again, we'll get to the NFC East. There's a lot to talk about when we get there. David, this is unfortunately the part where we have to say goodbye to you because I'm actually sad because you've been hilarious.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for supporting, and I'll see you on Overwatch after this.
All right, see you, boys.
See you. Guys, that's David Barry from the Penn State Nittany Lions, the best football player to ever touch campus in Happy Valley. Now, David was a very, very fun bunch. But, guys, I have to introduce you to probably the funniest guy that I have met when talking about sports. I'm glad for his first ever appearance on here. Coming all the way. He's not in Blacksburg. I'm going to let him introduce himself to you. Mr. Jack Powell, the Eagles fanatic.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Good to see you. Glad to be here. I'm Colin here from Hamilton, Virginia, up in Loudoun County, and I'm ready to talk some NFC, baby. My division, my home. Let's go.
Let's go. I told you he'd be energetic, boys. Let's just dive in. We do have to start with the NFC South, Jack, unfortunately.
Oh.
We'll get to your mighty Eagles. I promise you we'll get there. Starting in with number 1. Oh, geez. We might need to kill the energy vibes a little bit. Starting with the Carolina Panthers, who went and just got obliterated this past week by the Tampa. Don't let the score fool you. 6-10, unfortunately eliminated from playoff contention. Their Week 18 opponent against the Saints does not matter this week. Playoff possibilities absolutely out the freaking window. And it took me all the way up to Week 17 to notice who our team MVP was. Our team MVP, and Jack will talk about why when we get to the Buccaneers. My team MVP is J.C. Horn. This guy with 53 tackles, 3 picks. He did not play Week 17. And when you hear the stat line that Jack will tell you, you will know why. You will know why he's the team MVP and why that team just got smacked up and down the field and why C.J. Henderson did not make himself available to media this week. That was a smart move on his part, taking the fine. That was a smart move.
Absolutely.
I would have loved to see his answers to a quick walking up vertical. I would love to hear him. Would have loved to.
The Panthers were really starting to build up in these past few weeks. You know, that run game with Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard, and even our hometown boy, Raheem Blackshear, really starting to cook on the ground. I think over 320 yards at the Detroit game, which is fantastic. And I think Steve Wilks, he might have a shot in another year at head coaching the Panthers. I think he deserves maybe at least one more year.
I like that take, and it was a franchise record. I think it was 325, Jack. So yeah, but Steve Wilks, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. He's definitely defensive-minded head coach, but my problem with it is we have the defense figured out. I believe we need to figure out the offense, but that'll be fixed when we get our offensive coordinator as far away as possible from our team. You know, Brent, we don't want him anymore. His name's not even deserved to be said on this podcast. So just going to leave it at that. Chris, tell me about the Atlanta show with the no more Marcus Mariota.
What a scene in Atlanta right now. I mean, benching Mariota, who I don't think anyone thought was playing half bad. It was, yeah. I mean, for the Atlanta team, he was playing decent. Like, they're pretty bad, to say the least. But I mean, they're 6-10. They're playing the Bucs. They're eliminated. They got really nothing to play for. And with the news coming out that Marcus Mariota left the team and quit on the team because he was benched, I mean, I would see it. I mean, I don't think he was your problem. I think he played pretty well at the beginning of the season, and I think he got basically shoved under the table and in a disrespectful way kicked off the team. And to be honest with you, he's in the top 2 for my team MVP. Marcus Mariota, the guy that we all thought we wrote off. For years we wrote him off. And this year he went in, did pretty well. Him and Alliger are my top 2 guys. Alliger obviously will win it, but I think Mariota deserves some respect. And what the Falcons organization did to him was awful. They're still not figured out after their 28-3 Super Bowl crushing blow. And they need to figure something out because whatever they're doing is not working.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with you, Chris. I think I like what you said that he wasn't the problem. I don't think he was the problem because that team has a lot of holes, but I don't think he was the solution either. I don't think he's a long-term
obviously
solution.
he wasn't the solution, but I mean, for them, they basically made him the scapegoat and was like, this is why we're doing so bad. And then you put in Rattler, and it was just like, no.
Right. Raises a big concern, with the whole inflation of quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are either designated with being saviors for their teams and leading them to these championships, these Super Bowls, or the absolute fall guy, the number one person to blame it on. And after that, it's head coaches and coordinators.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad Jack brought that up because did you guys see that once Sam Howell starts in Week 18, we've had the most starting quarterbacks since the NFL lockout season or what was it?
Really?
No, I believe that. It seems like every
it was when the NFL teams weren't getting paid enough. It was like NFL protests, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, this year I felt like almost every team has started at least 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. We started 4 of them, so.
Yeah.
Brent's like, we started 1.
Many times.
We started 1. Get out of here, Danny.
Have fun with his 1 good year.
And you're
we'll get into that.
We'll get to that. Easy. Also, the Atlanta Falcons were also traded their best wide receiver to the Jacksonville Jaguars and Calvin Ridley. So,
always forget that happened.
We'll see.
Hey, man, just don't put your money on it. I don't know where my sheet went. Brent, talk about the Saints for me. Talk about Jameis being on the bench too.
All right. Well, the Saints were alive for playoff contention all the way up until last week. They have a record of 7-9. Their Week 18 opponent, yours truly, Joe's Panthers. But much like the Cardinals that I talked about earlier, the Saints have their own questions at both the head coach and quarterback positions, as I don't think anyone would argue that Dennis Allen and Andy Dalton did a respectable job this year. But luckily, it seems like they did find a gem in Chris Olave at the wide receiver position. And on the defensive side of the ball, they already have proven players at all 3 levels, Cameron Jordan, Demario Davis, and Marshawn Lattimore. So there is at least a little bit of hope. They just got to find that quarterback position and probably a new head coach as well.
I really have not much more to say to that.
Amen.
Who was your MVP again?
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave. He's been quiet the past couple weeks. I don't know if that's been Andy Dalton's fault or.
Yeah, I'm blaming the quarterback on that one.
All right, fair enough. So you're blaming Taysom Hill then? No, I'm just kidding.
Scored a touchdown last week.
It seems like he does every week.
Taysom Hill's a tight end.
He is.
According to fantasy football platforms, yes, he is. So that's hard to argue with. Okay, please be nice, Jack, when you talk about this because I still see it in my nightmares a little bit.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a basically almost a division-winning game for both the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Win, and you have a very good shot at getting into the playoffs. And the Buccaneers did it. Go to 8-8 in domineering fashion. I think it was a 30-24 final score, and goddamn, Tom Brady looks like vintage 2010s Tom Brady, throwing for over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Man, he was insane, and he hasn't been all season. I mean, the Buccaneers have only been scoring, I think, maybe 16 to 17 points per game before this game, and now they just jumped out on offense and scored 30 points. I think the Buccaneers have really showed a strong performance and at a J.C. Hornless Carolina Panthers. We'll see how they stack up against the really strong quarterbacks in the NFC playoff race. But, the Buccaneers are looking strong now. They're playing the Falcons. They're at the Falcons. And I think this is more of a week to rest your starters. They're locked into the 4th seed. They're the worst division winner in the NFC. So I say, look, you have a week against a terrible Falcons team pretty much. Why don't you just rest your starters, rest good old Tom, rest Mike Evans, rest Rashad White. That man is a stud. Rest starters so that you're ready to go because you are going to play week 1 in the wild card round. So for my team MVPs for the Buccaneers, I have 3, 2 for this week, and then 1 overall. My first has to be Mike Evans. 10 catches, 207 yards, and 3 touchdowns, which were all deep bomb vert touchdowns, where he just absolutely smoked coverage. And I think Mike Evans has not scored a touchdown before this game since October 2nd, Kansas City. And I think that was only 1 or 2 touchdowns. The man hasn't been productive until the previous game, and he went off. And then my second, which is my honorable mention for the week, is Jake Camarda.
Don't give me
punter.
This crap.
The punter for the Buccaneers is a legend. 5 punts, 244 yards, and the game-saving miracle punt, rolling out to the left and pooch punting it right to the 5-yard line, possibly clinching the game for the Buccaneers as long as, the Sam Darnold-led Carolina Panthers couldn't drive down the field. And then my third overall MVP for Buccaneers got to be Ryan Suckup. Buccaneers have not been a touchdown scoring team. They have been really reliant on those field goals, and Ryan Suckup has been delivering. And so I think he's a mainstay in Tampa.
Dude, that punter play was stupid.
It was so good. So entertaining.
I was sitting there. I was like, the Panthers need to block this punt. He takes it. Well, it's a bad snap. It hits him, and the gunner decides to pinch inside instead of coming around. I'm like, just hit him. He's down, face down, scrambling with the ball, picks it up. You miss. He runs around like this, and Pat McAfee's just loving it.
Oh, it's an absolute heads-up play from Jake Camarda, and now everybody sees him. So
it's the first time I've hated something that Pat McAfee has said. Anyways, I agree with resting the starters, but last I saw, Todd Bowles, who's a terrible head coach, by the way, said that all his starters are going to play in Atlanta. So he said he wasn't going to rest them last I looked, unless new news on that.
I mean, I get that. Take the Jag strategy from this week from playing the Texans. They started Trevor Lawrence in the first half and the first drive of the third quarter and then rested him for the rest of the game. If you're doing that, then that's fine. But if you're starting them and playing them through the whole game except for garbage time at the end, that is a problem.
There you go. Well, thanks for the Buccaneers, Jack. I purposely didn't give myself a team here on the NFC East. I'm gonna play negotiator between you all. Here, let me move it around so that we're like separating the Eagles fans versus the others. So I'll play dad for a second. But first, we're gonna start with the Washington Commanders, the only team that did not clinch.
Which
That's you, buddy.
Oh, I know. To come to words about this team, I think, is a hard one to swallow. I mean, I've always been a favorite. They have one of the best defenses in the NFL, hands down. There's no debate, no question. They have the best defense in the NFC East, easily. And they have two of the best wide receivers in the NFL, probably regarded a top 10 running back in the NFL, but the best punter in the NFL. But the only piece that they're missing is quarterback. And, I mean, Carson Wentz is obviously not the answer. I felt a lot of disrespect by starting him last week. I would if I was Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke is the best backup in the NFL. What he has done for that team is more than anyone can do, and there's no one else that could have done it better. I'm happy to see Sam Howell play this week in kind of like a meaningless game, just to see what he is, to see if we have something in him or do we need to go back to the drawing boards. I really hope this team should have made the playoffs. I think I looked at it. They lost 3 or 4 games by 1 score or less. So they're not a bad team. I expect them to be a playoff team, but when you're playing in the best division in football and a division just clinched with barely an 8-8 record, there's a lot to think about. Washington, I believe, should be in the playoffs. I mean, they're good enough to be in the playoffs, and I don't think they're the worst team in the NFC East. So next year, hopefully, but, we go back to the drawing boards this year, possibly a change in head coach, obviously probably a sale of the ownership in the offseason. So once that happens, I feel like there's a lot of unquestionable things, but pay Taylor Heineke some money because he deserves it.
I agree with the last 2 statements you said about pay Taylor Heineke. Also, the disrespect to Taylor Heineke to put Carson Wentz in a quarterback when that was Taylor Heineke's team. And it was very obvious it was Taylor Heineke's team the entire way since he started.
The entire fan base.
Yeah, that too. Absolutely. I mean, you heard Brent chanting Heineke when he fumbled in the FedEx Field.
That game doesn't count. That game may be the worst officiating game I've ever seen in my life.
Heineke's a man of the people. He was the same with the Carolina Panthers before he left. And also, I agree that Ron Rivera should be fired with the fact that you did not know that you could be eliminated from playoff contention.
No. I think that is actually false. That is very false. Because when you go into a game, are you thinking about your game plan or are you thinking about what's next week?
You should at least know.
No, you're thinking about that week. And in your mind, you're thinking about that week. You're not thinking about anything else. And that's the issue with people on the outside. They think that as someone on a team, they're thinking about weeks ahead. Your game plan is that week. And so I respect him for saying, I didn't know. Because you're worried about that game. You're worried about coaching that game. You're not worried about what you need to do. You're worried about winning and going 1-0 every week. So when he said, you were clueless, I get that. Because even for me, I don't worry about what's happening next week. I'm worried about going after a job and winning and keeping the outside in. So it's something a head coach does, and I don't blame him because I bet half the coaches in the NFL just don't know what's happening next week. They're worried about what they have to do that week. And for him to lapse and say, I didn't know, it's one of those things. You probably didn't realize that as you're coaching. You're coaching to win. You're not coaching to have a maybe. I don't think he deserves the disrespect for what he got. And I'm not going to call for his head right now. I think we need to go with see what happens in the offseason, see what happens in the quarterback situation before we can make a call. Because, like I said, he's put together the best defense in the NFL. He's put together a great special teams unit. He's put together a great wide receiving core, great running back core. Just needs to figure out his quarterback situation. So the calling for his head, when you look at everything else in perspective, is great for him. And like I said, Washington could have been the best team in the NFC East, and they ended up being the worst. But every team in the NFC East can be the best and can be the worst. There's no question about it. They are the best division in the NFL.
Did Chase Young play last week?
Yeah, he played.
For the first time or second time?
It was his first time.
Okay. See that when you're talking about the best defense in the NFL, that's the piece you guys were missing too.
Not necessarily. I think the defense worked great together without him. They worked great together with him, and that's why he waited so long to play. Is because that defense was playing at prime, was playing at the top of their game, what's the point adding someone else when your unit is already playing cohesively and fluidly? It's like switching quarterbacks. Your receivers are used to a quarterback. Your D-line's used to that D-line. They're used to that rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mess it up if you're playing good.
And then finally, congrats on the new NFL mascot.
Oh, the Hogs?
Yeah.
Hey, Major Cuddy.
He does
Major
look pretty
Cuddy.
cool. I like it. I like
He's
it a
cute.
lot.
He's cute.
Hey.
Unfortunately, he did go 0-1. It's okay.
Hey,
Chris, we both took really hard L's last week. It's okay.
I'm not upset. I think that we should have won the game. No question about it. But we played Carson Wentz. We're not going to win the game when we play Carson Wentz.
I agree.
And when you throw 2 picks in the first half, I mean, really? You're not going to reassess
the
your
second
quarterback
one was
situation?
horrible.
Yeah, you're not going to reassess your quarterback situation after that? Come on.
And that's another reason people were coming at Rivera. But
I mean,
Rivera and Scott Turner.
Yeah. But when you look at it, it's not
Okay.
always that everyone blames the head coach, but it's more than just the head coach. Because the head coach is worried about everything. You should, but at the end of the day, I think they went in the game plan of playing Carson Wentz, nothing less. And that's what happened.
positive mindset from Chris about the Washington Commanders.
Like I said, I think that they
love it.
could be regarded if they won the 4 other games, they're being regarded as the best team in the NFC East, and we're all praising them for being a top 2 seed. But right now, they lost some close games, and now they're regarded as the worst team in the NFC East. Any team in this division can win, and none of these teams deserve any hate because they've all done really well. They've all performed really well. And so I think that Washington's going to win this week. Go out with a win, beat the Cowboys, go into the offseason winning.
Your Eagles fans are happy about that statement.
We like that statement.
Well,
We're happy about that one. Brent,
but,
talk to me about.
I could obviously say the hot take that I don't think the Eagles are as good as everyone think they are.
Okay, we'll get to that when
we'll get there.
Easy. This is why I'm sitting in the middle. Brent, go ahead and talk about the Giants for me.
All right, the New York Giants. You can see the record on the screen there, 9-6-1. If you would have told me that before the season started, I would have thought you're absolutely a crazy person. Their Week 18 opponent at the Eagles. Playoff possibilities. It's already happened. We've clinched the 6th seed. We cannot move. We're stuck there no matter what. Team MVP. I would argue that there are 2. With the first being Brian Daboll. Going into the season, NFL analysts projected the Giants maybe having 4, 5, or 6 wins. Heck, I was even on this podcast saying it wasn't going to be a good season. But the fact that Daboll has come in here with a roster depleted of talent, I mean, we're starting Nick McLeod at corner. We have Fabian Morrell at corner. It's an awful roster. It's an awful roster. The fact that he's come in here and has put out a winning record is absolutely incredible. He should be coach of the year, in my opinion. And I know you Eagles fans can argue that a little bit. Nick Sirianni,
I agree.
He's done a hell of a job too. But just the way Daboll has come in here with the roster he has, it's been incredible. The second guy, none other than Danny Dimes. I got to give my guy some credit. He has posted career highs in both yardage and completion percentage, and only has posted 5 interceptions on the season, tied for the lowest in the NFL among starting quarterbacks. I think the other one is Jalen Hurts. So him and Jalen Hurts are tied for the lowest. He also has the highest QBR in any game of the season, coming last week in a playoff clinching game against the Indianapolis Colts. He has definitely earned a contract to be the franchise quarterback of the future.
Even bad quarterbacks have one good year.
Chris, shut up.
I don't think he's the answer, and I think you're going to see.
He's throwing to Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, and freaking Darius Slayton.
Fucking Bellinger.
Kenny Galladay.
Mark my words, I will call it right now. Daniel Jones is going to be one of the worst quarterbacks next year.
That reminds me of 2015 Cam Newton, Brent, when he was throwing to Ted Ginn, Jericho Cotchery, and not even – it was
how good was he?
I don't know. He won an NFL MVP.
What happened the years following that?
He got in a car crash and broke his ribs.
He's gonna digress.
No, he's not, Chris. I'm telling
I'll
you
put
right
money
now,
on it. That
I might
he,
have-
I would put money on it.
Daniel
that he won't.
Jones is the quarterback of the Giants' future.
Then that's going to be a scary reality when you guys start losing more games, and you're the worst team in the NFC.
Hey, record this. We have this.
Nothing ever leaves. Nothing ever leaves. It's here. That's how we knew about the Syracuse Orange.
Oh,
the
boy.
Commanders will be flowing money out of their pockets to get Daniel Jones on their team this upcoming
That
year.
sounds
Wow.
that may be the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard.
All right.
Wow.
Have fun with Sam Howell and Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz.
I'm fine with Taylor Heineke.
I should have separated them. The Eagles stand.
We're good. We're fine.
No, I'm fine with that. I just think Daniel Jones is getting lucky this year. Next year, his luck's going to run out.
All right.
Carson wants you guys to make a bet.
Once Carson pays me $20, then I'll make another bet.
Make
You
it
got me $50, bro.
I'm
You gotta
coming to
pay
the
me
bank
$50.
tomorrow.
All right.
Drama at the Sports Outlet Show, and it's not about the Houston Texans this year, guys. We're doing better. We're doing better. All right, let's flip to something where it can at least be a 2 against 2. The Philadelphia Eagles, Jack, and hit me with what you got. Obviously, Braden, jump in at any point. These are your boys too.
My boys, my homies, the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Not too good this week. Showing some bad signs, in particular, 2 crucial areas I think they're really starting to struggle with. Number 1 is turnovers. We have had interceptions, lost fumbles. We've had a lot of bad turnovers in these past few weeks. And I think we need to clean up that sloppiness if we're going to go into this postseason and make a real run at the ship. And then number 2 is injuries. We've seen the injury list pile up in these past few weeks as well, which is going to be bad. Jalen Hurts has been injured, out for 2 weeks. Gardner Minshew has started. He's been producing turnovers. Josh Sweat got injured. We've seen people getting injuries. That is a huge problem for us, and we need to make sure we're ready. So we need to come into this last game against Brent's Giants and absolutely smoke them to get that number 1 seed. We clinched the division with a Philadelphia win. If we win, we get the division. Or a Dallas loss. If Dallas loses, we also win the division. No harm, no foul. Chris, I need your Commanders to beat the Cowboys this week. And then to clinch the number 1, the bye, home field advantage, we need the Philadelphia win or the Dallas and San Francisco loss. Get that. We get all we've ever wanted. We get a bye. We get a week to rest our starters. We can figure out the injury situation. We'll be all good. Now, team MVPs. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Before we go to MVPs, before I stop there, I would like to say that besides the Minnesota Vikings, I think the Eagles are the second biggest joke in the NFC. I'd like to put that out there. Without Hurts, look how you guys are performing. Trash. Look at your past 2 weeks.
I just think that
without
speaks.
Wentz. What?
That speaks to
without Hurts.
We saw
How are
the
you doing?
comments before the Cowboys game. We saw the comments like it's Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not the MVP
Right.
of the team, and I think
And
these
now we
past 2 weeks
switched
have
up.
proved that.
It's switched.
Yep, these past 2 weeks have proved that Jalen Hurts is the MVP of the entire NFL because the past 2 weeks with Jalen Hurts, we win both of those games. We win
Oh,
both of
No,
those games.
100%.
Cowboys
That's why I think that's why the Eagles need to seriously look at themselves as you're not the best team. You cannot go into the playoffs saying you're the best team because you are not.
Mhm.
Without your quarterback,
Right.
you are not the best team.
Yeah,
You
but with
are-
your quarterback, we are.
Without your quarterback, you are 4th in the NFC East right now. Let's look at that. You're 4th in the NFC East. Without Hurts, you're 4th.
Wow. We
100%.
put
don't
up
know about
very
that one.
strongly
I mean,
against the
maybe-
Cowboys.
maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
with Gardner Minshew.
but when you look at it, when the 2 split games with the Commanders, you lost to the Commanders, but during their first matchup, who torched the Commanders' defense? Hurts. No one else but Hurts.
Hurts
And
is the
that's why
guy.
I beat it. Hurts is the guy, and I think without Hurts, if you go into the playoffs and Hurts get hurt, you're not looking too good, and you better hope you get that first round bye because playing that stretch of games with a quarterback that is beat up is not going to fare too well for you.
Bren, I'm gonna ask you to hop in here. What's your situation with resting starters this week? Like, what's Dayball's plan going into this week here?
Dayball's pretty hush hush on stuff like that. I don't think he likes giving away his game plan too early, even though this game doesn't mean anything for us. I would imagine, and this is just my take, I would imagine we sit our major guys like Saquon, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and I hope we do because I don't want those guys getting injured. But I think like Daniel Jones, players like that will play. So I think ultimately you guys will win no matter what.
You could get a little revenge for us throwing a couple years back and kicking you guys out of the playoffs. You could take some revenge and kick us out of the
we
1 seed.
could.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The team MVPs. Yet again, I have 2 week MVPs and 1 overall MVP. For this week on defense, I got Hassan Reddick. The man has had a phenomenal season with the Eagles. He's at 3 tackles, 2 assists, 2 sacks, and 1 crucial sack on a 2nd and 10 in the 4th quarter to set up the next potential drive in Philadelphia. And then I got Devontae Smith, 9 for 115. No touchdowns, but the man has produced when necessary. Absolutely. Thank you.
I like Devontae Smith.
Absolutely. And then overall MVP, the guy, Jalen Hurts. He Pro Bowl, MVP front runner a few weeks ago before the injury took him out. The man has put on a show, and the man is the cornerstone of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think he will be going forward.
Yeah. The Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, obviously they are the best team in the NFC right now, record-wise. But I agree with a lot of what Chris said. You saw how 49ers quarterback went down. Both of them, both Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo went down. The team rallied around him. You saw Danny Dimes. Obviously, he's the glue of that team with Saquon Barkley. The Commanders obviously had some quarterback struggles as well. But, even the Dallas Cowboys, they're 12-4, and Cooper Rush was at the helm for a while. So the Philadelphia Eagles, you lock up the 1 seed, say Tampa takes care of Dallas or vice versa, you guys are going to be looking at an experienced Dallas Cowboys or Tom Brady retirement season. So
we're going to need that bye.
Jalen Hurts needs to bring everything.
We're going to need that bye. I think the Giants win is absolutely pivotal
because the Giants, in my opinion, when everything falls into place with the 1 through 7, are going to be playing the worst team in the NFC in the Minnesota Vikings. Like the Giants can win that ball game. They almost did the first time.
Absolutely fair.
I think we'll win that game as well.
Yeah.
Just lock up Justin Jefferson like Jair Alexander did, and they have no offense.
Absolutely.
And we should have a Dory Jackson back at that point. So I think we can handle that.
Wrap us up in the NFC East, Braden.
The Cowboys, they're a great team.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't say it, but they are a really good football team. In terms of scenarios this week, they can clinch the division with a win at the Commanders and an Eagles loss versus the Giants, and they can clinch the 1 seed in the NFC with a win against the Commanders, plus an Eagles loss versus the Giants, plus a 49ers loss versus the Cardinals. So they need a lot of help to wrap up that 1 seed, but they could clinch the division pretty easily, which is crazy to think about considering 2 weeks ago the Eagles were 13-1. It's crazy. This is a very good football team, and they're led by their linebacker, Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons is really, really good. A case for Defensive Player of the Year. And that defense just rallies around him, and he's a very good guy, and he knows it. He knows he's good. So this Cowboys team scares me. They're a good team, and they scare me a lot going into the playoffs.
There you go. Dallas Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up the NFC East. Chris, Jack, excuse me. We're going to say bye to you in a second, but I think you should stay on for the Chris's Sports Fact of the podcast, See if you enjoyed as much as we did.
I can't wait to see it. Let's hear it.
This is what the show's about.
It is the cornerstone of everything that we do around here. But, when I was thinking about it long and hard since 3:00 this afternoon, it really got me thinking, what do I want to talk about? And, I want to talk about one of the greatest American sports that we have. NASCAR. So, the sports fact of the day is, did you know that in NASCAR, the tires are not filled with oxygen, air? They're actually filled with nitrogen.
Interesting.
Really?
That was interesting.
Tires are filled
Wow.
with nitrogen to help with alleviate weight, because nitrogen does not weigh that much. Helps with weight, helps with everything that involves weight, and that's why you also they don't reuse the tires, but when a tire's done, they have a whole process to do whatever they need to do with the tires. But yeah, tires are filled with nitrogen.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know.
It's one of those to know facts.
Good to know. Dude, I say this every podcast. Nothing is going to beat the King James story for me ever.
The tennis balls?
King James story.
Yeah. The one with the like secret underground tennis room in the ball or whatever, how he escaped something. It was Chris took us into story time land. It was great.
Hey, I can always do that for you.
Dude, I love story time with Chris. It's the best.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Well, that is the end of our NFC East segment, which means we have to say goodbye to Jack. Jack, you've been an absolute delight. Is there anything you want to say to our Sports Outlet Show peeps?
Go Birds!
Go Birds!
All right. Thank you guys so much for having me, and I'll see you around.
Yep. We'll see you, buddy.
See ya.
Which takes us, so we already did the AFC North. So we're going to do and flip over to the AFC West, which means we have another person coming to join us on the set here for the AFC West. We had my older brother join earlier in this podcast. We're actually bringing another brother on the show, but it's not mine. Brent, you want to introduce?
My younger brother, Carson Allegra.
What's up?
The Broncos survivor has joined the chat.
I don't want to talk
That's the whole purpose you're here, is to talk
Yeah, I
about
know.
surviving. We're going to get to your team in just a second. We'll give you just a second to debrief and think about what you're going to say about your lovely franchise of a team. So I'll go ahead and start with the LA Chargers. Obviously, they clinched the playoffs 2 weeks ago. Their Week 18 opponent is going to be at Broncos at Mile High Stadium, who are 4-12. Their playoff possibilities, theirs does not matter with the – and, again, we're back to the Cincinnati-Buffalo game for scenarios. Theirs does not matter. Theirs does not change whether that game is played or not. They can be the 5 seed with a win this week, or they'll be the 6 seed if they lose to the Broncos and the Ravens beat the Bengals this upcoming week. Those are the only 2 things. Brandon Staley said they're going to start all their starters with that chance to lock the number 5 seed. Team MVP, guys, it's no question. It's Austin Eckler. The guy's been absolutely incredible this season. 881 yards rushing, 13 tutties, 103 receptions. So one of those guys that's joining the 100 reception club with 16 overall touchdowns. He actually has 18 now after scoring 2 last week. He joined Christian McCaffrey with the 100 club that we saw, I think, 2 years ago for McCaffrey. But he had 103 receptions, 686 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Great company between them and one more. The Chargers, they should have no problem this week, but I won't go too into depth since we have a Broncos fan on here. The Ravens win at the Bengals, even if somehow Russell Wilson does come out with a win this week. I don't think the Ravens can beat the red-hot Bengals that Brent was talking about earlier. So now I'm told we have the delightful treat of an absolute bawling rant here from a faithful Broncos fan from Super Bowl 50 to now. So, Carson, the floor is yours, my man.
All right. This is probably going to take a while.
Go for it.
Broncos fans love to talk about 3 things that the Broncos did horrible this season. First off, signing Hackett. Horrible. Injuries were bad all year. We have like 12 players on IR that are crucial players. And obviously, Chris is going to love this, Russell Wilson.
He ran away.
He's trash.
We'll start with Hackett. First off, the system was absolutely horrible. We had receivers running into each other on bad route concepts like every single play. It was terrible. We also had defenders going unblocked on passing plays, and Russ got sacked instantly. Like, what is he supposed to do? And the play calling every single drive was run, pass every drive. I hate it so much.
When you have a trash quarterback, that's all you call.
All right, Chris. He also never seemed to care. Like, whenever there was a bad call on the field, he never argued with the refs. He just sat there.
Because he's
and
trash.
nothing. I'm talking about Hackett, not Russ.
Oh, both. Yeah, I know. Both of them are trash.
You're right. You're right about Hackett, not Russ. He never stood up for the players, ever. I don't think he said one good thing about any player besides Russell Wilson. And he completely lost the locker room. I don't know a single player that said a good thing about him. And then injuries. I have a list of injuries here. I'll just go through them, and you guys should know every single one of these players, maybe besides one. Javonte Williams, Tim Patrick, Garrett Bowles, Ronald Darby, KJ Hamler, Randy Gregory, Justin Simmons, Lloyd Cushenberry, Jerry Jeudy, and DJ Jones. They all missed 4+ games, most of them being out for the year, and that's unacceptable. We need to fire our strength and conditioning coach because that is not acceptable at all. And now we'll get to Russ, Chris. You can feel free to cut me off whenever and comment about how bad he is. In my opinion, I think Russ is the most overhated quarterback in the league. And this is because he is cringy. He is easy to make fun of. And a third one here that not many people know, he's actually a little overweight. You
can tell by the picture. He's a little chunky.
If you can compare pictures from a Seahawks interview to a Broncos interview, he has gained some pounds, and that is the reason that he is not as fast this year, in my opinion. A good comparison that I actually like to make to Russ is Derek Carr this season. Derek Carr in the Las Vegas Raiders, because he has had just as bad of a season. People expected the Raiders to make the playoffs easily, just like some people expected the Broncos to make the playoffs easily. Yeah, people have sympathy.
I didn't. If you're talking about everyone, I definitely did
no.
I definitely did not. I thought they were going to lose, and
I'm surprised it took this long for it to come up
because they're pretty bad.
Okay. But people have sympathy for Derek Carr.
Because Derek Carr is a great quarterback.
He's not. He's not actually.
But I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
Didn't he just get benched for Jarrett Stidham last week?
Because the organization.
Jarrett Stidham actually played well against the best defense in the league.
Derek Carr's not that bad. Russell Wilson's pretty bad.
You aren't providing any information there, Chris. Didn't you just say Brian Robinson was the top 10 running back and that Heineke was better than Daniel Jones?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You get shot in the leg and then lead a team in rushing, and tell me how that goes for you.
That doesn't mean he's a top 10
tell me you're not
running
good at your job.
He's good. I agree. Brian Robinson is very good.
Put him top 10?
He's not a top 10 running back.
So you're going to say, then name 10 other running backs that are better than him.
I'm not going to do that.
After getting shot in the leg. And then ran as good as he did. You give me 10 running backs that can do it right now, and I will give you your $20.
I'm going to do that at end the segment when I'm done talking about the Broncos. That work?
It works.
Okay. Also, with Russ, I think he will make a comeback next year, and I think he will be pretty good because, first off, he's a leader, and he has the most perfect work ethic you can have. He doesn't care about anything but football because all he wants, and people, obviously, but all he wants to do is have a winning record and be a good football player. That's all he wants. And his teammates will defend him through anything. With those tweets last week where people were coming at Russ and Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler and all those people were defending him, his teammates love him. I also think, how do you just wake up one day and forget how to play football? That just doesn't happen.
It's called the yips. It's called the yips.
The yips
when
are
you wake up and forget how to play the sport that you played. What? No, it's called the yips.
Okay.
Look it up. It's called the yips.
I also think the Broncos' main need is O-line in the draft, and we should address that because
the amount of times. Staff?
What?
What about their coaching staff? That's a pretty big need too. They're kind of bad at their job.
Let the man finish.
I'm talking about players, not coaching right now. I'll get into coaching. Calm down. We need O-line really badly. Russ is getting sacked on like every single play. It's horrible. He has no time in the pocket at all. He also said that he's going to do everything he needs to do in the offseason, and he's going to train. He's going to train every day and just try to be back to his old way on the Seahawks. And I think Russ will take a step up next year and be very good. Now I'll get into the head coaching options that we can get for next season. The Broncos came out the other day and said Jim Harbaugh is 1A, Sean Payton is 1B, and Dan Quinn is 2, which I don't think we'll get Dan Quinn. I think we will get one of those top 2 guys, so I'm not going to talk about Dan Quinn. But in my opinion, I would rather have Jim Harbaugh, because if we had to go after Sean Payton, we would have to give up our first-round pick, and I really don't want to do that because we need O-line badly. Jim Harbaugh is offensive-minded, and we obviously need help with offense. He also resuscitated Alex Smith's career in San Francisco when he was coaching there, and I think he could do the same with Russ.
Except that he said that he doesn't want to go to a team that's rebuilding. And that's a team that
I don't think we're rebuilding, Chris.
I personally also believe the Broncos are not rebuilding.
They're pretty bad. So
rebuilding.
Then what are you doing with a whole new coaching staff, a whole new offensive line that you're going to rebuild? You're going to sell, and you're going to try to build around a quarterback that I don't think is pretty good. What do you call that?
Teams that are rebuilding are like the Carolina Panthers, where we've had year after year of unsuccess. The Broncos have a history of success.
When were the Broncos? The Broncos were last good. What, Super Bowl 50?
Yeah, we were.
That was
I agree with you on that.
So what do you
They
call
do have a good roster. They have a good roster outside of.
Well, I
think you're still rebuilding. If your coaching staff is not set, you're rebuilding the coaching staff. Your team is still rebuilding. If you
just because you get a new coach doesn't mean you're rebuilding.
Your team is not good. It's still rebuilding. Because a new coaching staff is going to come in. Are they going to keep the same players? Or are they going to rebuild a roster? They're going to rebuild. You're rebuilding.
Yeah, I was about to say Brian Daboll's point 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Exactly. I have a few. Our record is 4-12. It's not good. We're throwing away the season. Our Week 18 opponent is against the Chargers. We'll probably lose. Justin Herbert and them are way too good. I think that's a loss easily. I think it'll be close though, because our defense will keep us in it. We have no playoff possibilities. It's unfortunate. And I have a few team MVPs. First, I want to go Ahiro Avero, the Broncos defensive coordinator. He has kept us in games all year. We have so many games that we've lost by 1 score. It is crazy. We just needed our offense to pick it up, and they did not because of Hackett's system. I also want to go with Pat Surtain. In my opinion, I think he is the best corner in football because he has just locked down opponents besides Devontae Adams once and DJ Moore once. There you go, Joe. And then also Justin Simmons, who I think is the best safety in the league. He has missed 5 games this year and has tied for the most interceptions in the league. That's crazy. And that's all I have to say. There's my rant.
That's impressive for Justin Simmons. Yeah, it's been a year unlike any other. Obviously, the trade was right now. It looks very, very poor at the beginning of the season, but obviously, you don't give up on a quarterback after 1 year. And I can speak of what a head coach can do to a team like Nathaniel Hackett did. Obviously, starting from week 1 with the time management issues to the lack of effort to losing the locker room. When you have a cancer on your team like a Nathaniel Hackett or Matt Rule on your team, all it takes is one head coach to flip it around. The New York Giants show that. It might not happen in year 1 either. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Brian Daboll proved that. But, I mean, when you look at what Steve Wilkes has done for us, we're 5-4 since then, since that happened, even though it's been a pretty poor turnaround. I agree. I have not given up on Russ. And that receiving core is still extremely valuable. And don't forget about Alberto Quebenon, baby. Love that dude.
I don't know why he was inactive all year. The first game back, he caught a touchdown and was probably the best receiver on our team this week. I don't understand why we sat him all year. It's so stupid.
I don't know.
Alberto, baby.
Does anybody have anything to say about the Broncos? Anything else?
Other than that, they're going to be bad again next year.
Okay, so Giants trash. Broncos trash.
I mean, he just disrespected Sauce Gardner in the process of saying that he has the best corner in the league. Sauce Gardner is the best corner in the league.
He said safety.
That is proven to be I forgot what it's called. Just like new seasons over whole careers, if that makes sense. Sauce has only had 1 good season. Pat Surtain's had 2 good seasons.
Pat Surtain's a dog. Patrick Surtain is a dog.
But I'm saying if you're talking about the best in the league right now, Sauce is.
Not Sauce. If I was saying this year, I'd say J.C. Horn.
We are talking about in the league this year.
Yeah.
We said he is the best in the league. This year, we're
only
talking about this year. We're not talking about in the career. We're talking about this year. This year, he's the best.
The only reason Surtain
You
doesn't
can't
have
compare that because
more,
he's played more games. Like, how can you say he's played more games? You compare players year by year.
the only reason Surtain doesn't have more picks and more passes deflected is because quarterbacks don't throw his way because he's locked down.
He's only had 2 bad games this year, and that was against arguably the best receiver in the league and just a fluke game against DJ Moore.
DJ Moore's a dog. That's all I have to say about that. Carson, stay with us through the AFC West, as you know the division better than any of us probably. Brent, talk about the Raiders and what's just been literally playoff hopes. Last week they still had them with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback. Please enlighten me.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be pretty quick here. Their record not too good, 6-10. Definitely had higher hopes for them going into the season. They play against the Chiefs in Week 18, and my team MVP is Davante Adams. The man is just uncoverable. He makes the most absurd catches. He has a very good route tree. And he's obviously one of the best receivers in the NFL. It's unfortunate that the Raiders don't have a better roster, but at least he got to make a ton of noise with Aaron Rodgers before this season. And honestly, I think he's a pretty big trade candidate for this upcoming offseason, and I could see him elsewhere.
I agree.
Now, Chris, you want to talk about a rebuilding team? That is what the Las Vegas Raiders are going to do. When they get rid of Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs will still be there until his contract's up, and maybe longer if they re-sign him. But that is a rebuilding team right there.
I don't think so. I don't think so just yet. They're not rebuilding just yet.
Who's going to be their quarterback, Chris?
Carr's going to be gone for sure. I mean, he unfollowed the Raiders on social media.
Well, we already know Carr's going to be gone. That's not like a surprise.
The only reason Davante Adams is in Las Vegas was because of Derek Carr. He's getting way out of there.
Did I ever say that the Raiders were not a rebuilding team next year?
No.
Their defense is garbage too. They need a whole new defense.
But they are not actively rebuilding. They are probably going to rebuild. They're about to rebuild, but I've never said they are actively not rebuild. Like they're actively not rebuilding, so they are not a rebuilding franchise right now. The season's still going. They are not in rebuild mode. After next year, yes, because they can't afford to fire their head coach because they paid way too much money for him.
They did pay.
If you're gonna sit your starting quarterback, I would say you're in a rebuild. If you're gonna sit your starting quarterback,
you're not actively in a rebuild.
Options.
The Broncos are actively in a rebuild. They spent all this money to get this prize quarterback because they want to rebuild a franchise around the quarterback, and so far it hasn't worked out for them. That is exactly what a rebuild franchise does. Is they pay a lot for a quarterback, hoping it pays off when they rebuild this team around him.
They pay a lot for a quarterback to rebuild a team. Wouldn't that be after the rebuild?
No, why would you give up everything for a team and then say you're not rebuilding?
Why would you give up all this money for an old quarterback if you're rebuilding?
Because you're trying to rebuild him around a centerpiece, get good targets around him, get everything perfect. So when he retires, you have a young gun already in the arms to come up and play. He is there to be a veteran presence in the locker room, and that's what a rebuilding team needs, is a veteran presence in the locker room.
So you think we're going to enter this NFL draft and we're going to draft a quarterback? That's what you're thinking?
I think it's on the mind right now of how bad he's played. Someone is questioning that they may need to draft a quarterback.
Are we talking about Derek Carr? Are we back to talking about Russell Wilson?
No, we're talking about Russell. Derek Carr was sad because he's pending a trade. They're going to trade him somewhere. He's gone. They're trying to save him.
Oh, Chris.
Respectfully, they're trying to save him and keep his draft stock and keep his trade stock up. But Russ,
no one's going to trade for him right now because he's not. You're right. He's not good right now. But he has proven in the past that he's been an MVP candidate.
You know, it'd be really funny if Derek Carr ends up back on the Broncos and he plays over Russ, because I think Russ is overrated and he was behind a great system in Seattle.
That would never happen.
Let's continue with the Raiders.
Why?
Because the Broncos spent way too many of their first-round picks to be able to trade for someone like Derek Carr.
But, I mean, if you spend so much money.
They have to see what they have until they tap out the drain.
Yeah, and that drain is close to being tapped out with how bad they play.
You could be right. You could be right.
You could be. I think you're wrong. Very wrong, actually.
You just said I was wrong about Russell Wilson being bad this year. What happened? He was trash.
If anyone wants to take blame here, I thought
that Russell Wilson was going to take this team to the playoffs on record.
Okay.
On record, he said Russell Wilson will take this team to the playoffs. Did he not?
I said if anybody's incorrect here, it's me once thinking that Derek Carr was an MVP quarterback.
It's all right. I
You
made
did
fun of
say
you
that.
before that. at the draft.
including drafting him this year.
I remember you saying that at the draft.
It's not one of my best takes.
I don't, but at the end of the day, I don't think Derek Carr is a trash quarterback. I think he's a very serviceable backup along the likes of Baker. He plays just like Baker. He's a Baker type of guy, where he could be a great backup or he could be a decent starter.
I like that take.
That's what Derek Carr is.
Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs carry that team. That's all I got to say.
And Russell Wilson's is a multi-million-dollar mistake. There's
Aren't
no
we
other
off
way
the
of putting
Broncos?
anything.
Hey, let's move on to the Chiefs here.
Yeah,
Right.
whether it doesn't matter, those two teams may be rebuilding, they may not be rebuilding. I think if there's one team that is absolutely not rebuilding anytime soon, it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's
They're building a
bold.
dynasty. They are building a dynasty. They are not rebuilding anytime soon. They went 13-3 this year. A lot of people were expecting this division to be really good, and maybe without Tyreek Hill, they were expecting the Chiefs to take a step back. If not a little one, they haven't. They've taken a step up, if anything. They are playing exactly on par how they've been playing before, and that's all because of their MVP, Patrick Mahomes. If it's not Jalen Hurts, it's Patrick Mahomes as MVP of the league. Patrick Mahomes has been very, very good. There's a couple games where he made a couple mistakes, but he's human. Barely, but he's human. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league right now. And it's not
funny.
close.
It's funny because he's low-key had a down year.
I know, right? And
Besides
still
in passing
MVP.
passing yards, he's thrown more picks than he's used to doing. He's had a few more errant throws, but I agree, he still is lights out, dude. Isn't he close to the passing yard record?
I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
It might be franchise, but he could break some record this week with like 422 or something.
It's
I
doable.
think
Doable against the Raiders for sure.
Not sure. Go ahead, Brady.
For their playoff possibilities, they've already clinched the playoffs. But assuming Cincinnati and Buffalo is canceled, they clinch the 1 seed with a win at the Raiders or a Bills loss. And assuming that they do play Cincinnati and Buffalo, they clinch the 1 seed with a Kansas City win and a Buffalo loss. Like I said, Patrick Mahomes, MVP of this team, if not MVP of the league.
There you go.
I think Mahomes is too good for his own good.
I know, like
he's insane.
It's to the point where like we just expect him to be the best player in the league. So we're talking about other people other than Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is just too good.
Yeah.
Hey, Burrow's name needs to be in the conversation for MVP as well.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Jalen Hurts was in there, and then he stopped playing.
The Chiefs better hope the Bengals don't make it far in the playoffs because the Bengals destroyed the Chiefs. Well, not destroy them. They beat the Chiefs every time.
Joe Burrow's never lost to him.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Bengals are
all right,
scary.
Chris, you got anything else to say, my boy?
All I got to say is Broncos country, let's ride.
He's gone. He gets nothing. He gets to say nothing. Carson, thanks for coming on and talking Broncos with us.
That
was one of the the last two divisions have been some of my favorite we've talked about on this show. So I love the banter back and forth. But we're adding in our last guest star of the night, guys. Country boy all the way, Virginia Tech Hokies. My newfound friend from Blacksburg that has been just an amazing Football Sunday partner when Braden hasn't been able to attend, especially. That's a shot at you. Just a little one. Welcome, Trevor Riddle, everybody. Trevor, he's got
Mr.
the caps off. Is that a new one?
Yeah, this is a new one. I just had to get it put on. I can take this one off, actually.
Oh, it's a brace. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very nice. I believe you've met everybody here, but Trevor just watched Virginia Tech lose to Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great. I can say that much. That's about all I can say about it, to be honest.
For time's sake, Trevor, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. You actually are going to get to jump us off and kick us off here with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a very big week coming up, Trevor.
Now, as far as Jacksonville is concerned, this has been a team that has surprised me a lot. Typically, when you think, all right, AFC South, you are typically thinking Colts, Titans. No, I think this year the Jaguars have just completely turned it around. They were 4-8 at one point. Nobody would have ever thought they would be where they are today. I mean, it's Jacksonville. Who would ever expect that? And in a semi-competitive division, I guess, so to speak, I mean, the Colts have had definitely an off year. Not having Jonathan Taylor for majority of the season has definitely had an impact on the Colts. And the Titans, I don't know if it's just the Ryan Tannehill effect going on, but it's been all Jaguars for God since week 12. It's been all Jaguars, just completely.
Yeah, it definitely has not helped that the Titans have been tanking too, which we'll get to in a second. Trevor, really fast, and then obviously they can win the AFC South with a win this week.
Yep.
Did you see the situation where they can be the 7 seed in the AFC?
I did see that situation. I definitely did.
They can lose against the Titans as long as the Dolphins lose to the Jets, the Patriots lose at the Bills, and the Steelers lose to the Browns.
So it's great. It's absolutely crazy to think that there is a reality where this team can go from being on top of their division to not being in the playoffs at all if a few things happen.
That's one of the craziest scenarios I love about the NFL. Lastly, here for the Jaguars, Trevor, who's your MVP?
I was saying Trevor Lawrence was just a bust from the beginning, but he has completely changed my mind about that. He is as good as they get. He reminds me
You
of
got Chris's attention real quick.
I mean, homie reminds me of Sunshine from Remember the Titans. That's what I've been calling him since I saw him at Clemson.
I know, and I can't wait to see him perform really bad next year.
I'm going to be blatantly honest. That's a very good possibility. It is Trevor Lawrence. Two good things can't happen in a row.
And it is the Jacksonville Jaguars, the epitome franchise of any NFL team.
Hey, I've been impressed with Travis Etienne a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
Besides the fumbling.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
That's been a problem.
Yeah,
yeah, that is true. Brent, you want to go ahead and talk with us about the Houston Texans, possibly the number 1 overall pick in the draft?
Yeah, the Texans, it's been a ride for them this season. Record of 2-13-1. Their Week 18 opponent at the Colts. Man, what a game that's going to be. It's going to be a good one. But yeah, they're eliminated from the playoffs. And they've had a rough go of it this season. But I look for them.
Wait, just this season or like the last 3?
Okay, here we go.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad down there.
I look for them to have a few more victories in 2023.
What?
As
3? 3 or 4?
3 more, maybe. I think some young pieces have established themselves, those being Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie, and Dameon Pierce. The best of those being Dameon Pierce. The young bruising back went for 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns in only 13 games played this season. Not too shabby for a rookie. And another thing to keep in mind is that the Texans will likely have the number 1 overall pick, and they will also have another top 15 pick from the Browns this year. So lots of opportunities to improve their roster going forward, and I think things are looking up for them.
Yeah, that Deshaun trade really just made them a lot better team.
No, it definitely.
It was the smartest thing they could have ever done as a franchise.
100%.
I think their rookie class this season has been one of the best, and if they can have a class like that in the next draft, they're going to be a sneaky good team.
Hey, man, Bryce Young might be ready to roll.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah, roll out of that team.
Doesn't every Texans quarterback want to roll out of that team?
Yeah. Davis Mills' neck wants to roll out of that team.
Where's Matt Schaub at? Where's Matt Schaub? He's in the back. He's in the back. Chris, tell me about the other half of the AFC South that's fighting to keep their head above water.
They're a team that you would think would be so good, so much better. I mean, you got pieces like Taylor Lewan, and you have the great Ryan Tannehill. But I mean, we saw promise from them last year, and then this year they just kind of underrepresented it. They got a pretty cool stadium coming, but they do play the Jags this week, and this week is very important. They win, they clinch, they lose, they don't. Plain and simple, which is why I think they are winning. I give it to them. I think that
Joshua Dobbs.
No, I was going to say the graphic with Taylor Lewan in the wheelchair.
Yeah, in the wheelchair.
Yes.
With all the injuries they've had this year.
And they've been, and I think that
do
contributes to their hurt. They're such an injury prone team, and their team is so just down bad for injuries. But I mean, give Mike Brable a little bit of credit here. He's doing pretty good, but obviously, the team MVP is the one and only Derrick Henry. I mean, I've never seen a running back that just you don't stop him. You just let him go. If he has the ball, just hope and pray he trips or something on the way down. Because that is a freak of nature. I would say arguably the best running back in the league. He's too good. He is too good of a player. Too good of a player for the team, and I think almost any team in the league. Too good. But like I said, I expect them to win. I don't expect them to go far in the playoffs, but I expect them to win this week versus the Jags. Eliminate the Jags so the Jags do not belong in the playoffs. And maybe last a round or two before they get kicked out.
Fair enough.
Josh Dobbs in a playoff game would be ridiculous.
It's a pre-playoff game on Saturday for the Titans and Jags.
Be a big matchup.
I think Trevor Lawrence and this team might kill them. It's possible, but I could see Derrick Henry running for 300 yards.
And then Trevor Lawrence going back to how bad he played last year. Definitely.
I don't know, man. He's been playing at an elite level the last 5 weeks.
I wouldn't call him elite. I would not call Trevor Lawrence elite.
I would look at his stats and call him elite.
You get elite after 2 good seasons, not 1 lucky season. That's when you're elite. He's good. He's very good. He's not elite.
I got Chris to say Trevor Lawrence is very good. I'm taking a W here. I'm going to sign it off.
I still don't believe in him.
I'm gonna sign it off, write it, ship it out tomorrow morning on Express. Braden, you get to talk about Jeff Saturday, and if you want to, since the Giants fan is here, you can talk about why Kayvon Thibodeau is trash.
Shut up.
That wasn't the best look for him. I think the snow angel was okay because he didn't know he was injured, but the little sleep motion on the sidelines after he was hurt and carted off, that wasn't great.
Definitely very disrespectful. Definitely.
I don't think it was because of the injury, but that's a whole.
I don't think so either. I just think it was poor timing.
But
yeah,
I mean,
he's a big NBA and Steph Curry fan.
But I'm saying, play devil's advocate here. To play devil's advocate, a guy is screaming on the ground in pain, and you are right next to him. You're telling me you don't hear him? I get it. You're in the zone, but a man is on the ground screaming in pain.
Braden's right. It wasn't a good look, but
it wasn't a good look. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't want to give an opinion on if I felt it was good or not. I'm just saying, as a devil's advocate here, if a man,
he's since said that he hopes Nick Foles is okay. So
I heard Braden screaming from 500 yards away, very clearly. So obviously,
it looked more like 10,000 yards.
I was on the other side of Middletown, and I could. The mayor came. That's how far. Come on, bro.
Oh boy, not the broken arm. Anyway, moving on from Thibodeau onto the Colts. This has been a roller coaster season for them, just like you would expect in this division. 3 starting quarterbacks. Matt Ryan played horribly, got benched for Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger played horribly. They brought back Matt Ryan to blow the biggest lead of all time and then benched him again for Nick Foles. It's been quite the ride, at least in terms of the quarterback position. Jonathan Taylor has been injured, hasn't been the star that he was last season, and their defense isn't great. Before the season, I picked this team to win the division at 9-8. Obviously, that didn't happen. The Colts having a terrible year. They need quarterback for sure, and they need a lot of other good guys around them to make this team be any sort of good. Jeff Saturday started his career 1-0, and then I don't think he's won a game since then. I don't think he's a long-term answer unless he can get some good pieces up in the upcoming draft. They're going up against the Texans, so like Brent said, it should be quite the game going into the weekend. A fight for a top 3 pick, top 2, top 1 pick. It's going to be a great game. The Colts are not a great team. We'll see y'all next season. Better luck.
You guys in the comments are killing me right now. The fight will never end. It'll never end. We're gonna transition to our final division of the night. We're going to the AFC East. Obviously, Trevor's gonna have a lot to say in just a second about the Miami Dolphins. But first, talk to me about the only team, Brent, that's been eliminated in this division, in the New York Jets.
Yeah, the New York Jets, a little bit disappointing because they did have a fair shot to make the playoffs before a couple weeks ago. Their record is 7-9. Their Week 18 opponent at the Dolphins, which is a very, very crucial game for the Dolphins. Their team MVP, probably Quinnen Williams for me. He's probably the leader of that extremely stacked defense, so I will go with
Whoa! What about Zach Wilson?
I know you're just trying to start a fight.
No, because
I'm just
I will be honest. I did say Zach Wilson was an elite quarterback coming out of the draft class. I will admit.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, trust me, I do too. It was a very bad take.
It's okay, buddy. We all have them. We all have them.
It was my one of 15.
But anyway, Quinnen Williams, he's posted career bests in sacks with 11, quarterback hits with 23, and tackles for loss at 12. Robert Saleh, he's one of my favorite coaches. Again, they just fell short. They do need to figure out that quarterback position. It's really, honestly, I think it's their only weakness, the only like major weakness on the team. So they need to figure it out.
I agree.
Very well
I
said.
agree. I agree.
And I'm unfortunate to be the one to say this, but it has been a long, long time since Johnny's gotten some ice cream.
Oh no!
Please tell me someone else knows.
That poor kid. He got so
There's
much ice cream to start the season.
There's this 6-year-old, for those that don't know, named Johnny, and he loves the New York Jets. And every time the New York Jets win, his dad takes him out for ice cream.
Damn.
They have not won in a while.
What was the other Jets thing where they flipped the coin for the Jets?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He lost that at week 11 when they beat the Bears, and it said they were going to lose.
They haven't won a game since then. They haven't won again since then because the coin got mad.
Oh no. That's a tough look. But Johnny, I hope we get your ice cream. Actually, I can't say that. I think your point. Wait, yeah, I can't say that because Trevor's going to say why the Jets cannot win this week. Trevor, here's your rant, buddy. Take it away.
So, I'm leaving absolutely nothing on the table right here. This has been a roller coaster of a season for me. We were 8-3 at one point, and I never thought that week 18 I was going to be sitting in a position saying that the Dolphins could possibly be eliminated from the playoffs. I never would have thought it. Of course, 8-3 for a Dolphins fan, it's not really heard of. I mean, my entire life as a Dolphins fan, it has been nothing but, I'm just going to be blatantly honest, pain. It's been horrible. I hate being a Dolphins fan all the time. But like you were saying, of course, this is a very crucial week for the Dolphins. We just need the Jets to lose, to be honest. I mean, the Jets have no reason to want to win this game because if they lose this game, they go up 4 spots in the draft. That's one of my big takes. And also, the Patriots are playing Buffalo, which is one of our win conditions. We need Buffalo to win. Buffalo, unfortunately, because of recent circumstances, has absolutely everything to play for. Not only do they have Damar Hamlin to play for, but they also have a possible number 1 seed to be playing for. So I believe that they are going to lay everything out on the table, hopefully get us to a playoff spot. But first, we need to take care of business on our own end and beat the New York Jets.
Yeah, I love what you said about the Bills having everything to play for, Trevor, from both standpoints. Obviously, if the game is rescheduled or is not, they do have that number 1 seed to play for, and they do have that tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs as well when they beat them head-to-head. But, Trevor, for the Dolphins, I was looking at the ESPN percentages today, and you guys have a 67% chance, which is way higher than any team in the AFC with a possibility to clinch a playoff spot, because obviously the Buffalo Bills should take care of business in Buffalo for you guys. And obviously you guys should beat the New York Jets. They're beat, they're battered. they have nothing to play for. So,
I mean, like I was saying earlier, they lose, they go up in draft spots.
Yep.
So what on earth would be the point in them winning?
I'd agree. Finally, who's your team MVP for the Dolphins?
Everybody would expect me to say Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, or Tua, but I'm going to go way off the table and say Christian Wilkins because he is the only player who is consistent on our team.
I like that.
I do too.
I mean, he's excellent on the line. I'm going to be honest, when he was drafted as our first round pick, I called my dad furious because I was like, why in the world would we pick a lineman over a possible good wide receiver or a running back? I bite my words. It was a very, very good pick on our behalf.
It's nice when those things turn out. It's very nice.
It's very nice.
I remember the night we drafted Jalen Hurts. I was not very
Oh,
happy.
I remember you.
Yep.
I almost said a bad word. I remember you talking so much hate about Jalen Hurts. It was hilarious.
I also eat my words.
I don't think I've ever been mad about a first round pick for the Panthers so far this.
Jalen Hurts was a second round pick. I'm confident with being upset about Jalen Reagor.
I'm sorry.
Jalen Rager's fine. I'm okay with being upset about that one. That one was. I'll take that one.
I remember the night we drafted Kadarius Toney. Oh wait, he does suck.
Oh my goodness, Chris, you want to talk to me about the New England Patriots led by the Mac attack?
Magic Mac, man.
Oh jeez.
Oh god, yeah, the Patriots. I mean, they're I like to say the Patriots are like that annoying cousin. They always are just there.
Absolutely.
And they're just annoying because they should be bad. But they have a great head coach. I mean, obviously a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach whenever he does retire. That just is carrying the team to somehow make a playoff. They won't win, but they'll make a playoff. They play the Bills, so not looking too good for them. The Bills obviously are going to be playing their hearts out, but they clinch if they win. That's if they win, they're going to the playoffs. Which I mean, damn. But if so they're there. Obviously, Jacoby Myers is the star of the show there. I mean, Mac Jones. Everyone has a good thing about him to say, a bad thing about him to say. But like I said, the Patriots are there because of Bill Belichick, and I am convinced that is the only reason why they're still relevant is because of him. There's nothing more to say because, again, they're like that team that's just always there, and it's like, why? Why?
I'm just waiting for them to start Bailey Zappi.
Hey, Bailey Zapp is a legend.
Hey, him and Brock Purdy, only 2 left undefeated. That's all. I'm going to set that on the table.
Exactly.
Gonna put that right there. Gonna put that right there. New England Patriots, they do hold their own destiny. If they win by Steelers, by Dolphins, by a lot of other AFC teams that are trying to make a push in, including the Jaguars if they lose, because that scenario is ridiculous. Last but not least, and it only seems fitting that we end the podcast with the Buffalo Bills, who are 12-3. Obviously, they have one less game than all the other teams because that game got postponed. It will not be played this week. It could be played as a week 19. It could be a forfeit. That's all up in the air. But the main focus right now is on Damar Hamlin and not about that game being rescheduled. On the contrary, their playoff possibilities. So this is actually where this becomes really important about this game coming up. Assuming that the game is canceled, not played at all, they can clinch the number 1 seed with a win versus the Patriots, but the Chiefs would have to lose as well on the other hand because they would be down a victory against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 13-3. So if the Chiefs win this week, they will clinch that home field advantage in the AFC. On the contrary, if the game is played in a week 19, they will clinch the number 1 seed if they beat the Bengals and if they beat the Patriots. It does not matter what the Kansas City Chiefs do after that. So that is the station for the Buffalo Bills right now. For all of those that were wondering, right now, I do not care about those scenarios, nor does the rest of the Buffalo Bills organization, as the main focus is on Damar Hamlin, his recovery, his family, and his friends. Trevor, we're going to close here just in a second. Is there anything else you want to say?
There was a point I forgot to mention with the Miami Dolphins. Out of all the quarterbacks we could have called, why in the world would we call the giraffe himself Mike Glennon? Why? Just why?
Mike
I'm sure we have.
Glennon.
I'm sure we
Yes.
have Cam Newton. God forbid, I'm sure we have Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick's phone numbers somewhere. I mean, Colin hasn't thrown a rock in 8 years now, but I would have preferred him over the neck any day of the
Mike
week.
Glennon.
Mike Glennon's just too good.
He's the GOAT.
He's too good.
That's
Braden,
Rich coming
I
from a
hate-
team that dropped him.
Braden, I hate that I know exactly what TikTok you're referencing. And you're going to
Mike
find it and
Glennon.
send it to me on TikTok, and I'm going to hate you for it.
It's Mike
Trevor,
Glennon.
thanks for being last, but certainly not least here for us. Good luck to your playoff hopes for the rest of the season, buddy. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Yep.
All right. We'll see you soon.
See you.
All right. But
Then there were four.
we're all in different
Let's
positions when we start. We're all in different. Hold on. We're not done. We're not done. Hold on.
Oh.
Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
Because I
correct.
love looking up at Braden in his eyes.
Oh, you better watch out. There's some people on here that might fight you for him. Boys, seriously, I appreciate you all hanging out here tonight. I know it went a little over as usual, but guys, I just wanted to thank all our guest stars that came on today. We had 5 people tonight that took time out of their busy schedules to come hang with us. It was amazing. Thank you, Trevor, Carson, Jack, Nathan, David. You all did a phenomenal job. We appreciate it. It was very fun. And continue. Like I said, I'm actually going to go ahead and throw this down at the bottom again, just for those that are still here and might have missed it. Damar Hamlin's Chasing M Foundation Toy Drive. You can find that GoFundMe link there. We can post that on our Twitter as well. But you can also just go to GoFundMe.com and search Damar Hamlin. He'll be the first or second up there for you. Our prayers are with the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin, the organization. And guys, God's doing a great thing with the community around the NFL for Damar, and we're just going to continue to pray for him, guys. You guys got anything else to say before I wrap?
Oh, sir.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, and you boys get back to your girlfriends, all right? We appreciate having them here too. All right. That's it from the Sports Outlet Show. We'll see you next time.